Hello everyone, this is Janice Goldschmidt, and I return for the 10th and final video in our series. In an earlier training session, I talked about the toaster, which is a small appliance that I really think is fantastic for individuals with challenges. Today I'm going to be talking about another appliance that is just a wonderful way to draw individuals with cognitive or motor impairments into heat application, actual cooking processes, and that is the slow cooker. I am aware that not all of the CSS residences have slow cookers, but if you view this video and you think it's appropriate for the individuals that you support, you can reach out and we will get you one. So let's get started. Retail studies tell us that about 83% of Americans have a slow cooker in their household. And because of this, there are a lot of specialty products and recipes available for individuals who would like to use slow cookers. And the advantage of them is obvious. First of all, they're a very low fire or safety risk. You rarely have burns from them like you would from stovetop cooking or oven baking. Furthermore, the slow cooker has the advantage of turning very cheap meat cuts, very fatty cuts of meat into very tender morsels. It uses a very slow and low technique, and it's wonderful for large pieces of meat. For lots of other dishes, it turns them into sloppy stews. So it's not, you don't necessarily want to cook everything in a slow cooker. But it does do very nice things for whole cuts of meat, and there are some other dishes that are very nice in the slow cooker. The safety risk in the slow cooker is primarily to do with the steam when you're taking off the lid initially at the end of the cooking cycle. And so that's just something you want to be aware of. It's a very low risk, however, and in general, the slow cooker is a very, very safe cooking appliance. Well, as you know, all of my programs work from a pictorial cueing system. We don't use a standard recipe, text-based recipe. We use a picture system for recipes. And all of those are available on the Community Support Services website. If you go to css-md-org, you see a cooking tab. If you click on that, you'll see recipes. And if you look where the circle is, you'll see a whole collection of slow cooker picture recipes. And today I'm going to pull out one of those recipes so that we're going to utilize when we're talking about how to teach slow cooker skills. And we're going to make a pot roast today. Okay, so here is our pictorial cueing system for pot roast. And you should be aware that this recipe we're actually using today is actually what is called the Mississippi pot roast. It is the most downloaded recipe in the history of the internet. It is unbelievably popular and amazingly delicious. This recipe is so famous that the New York Times actually wrote a story just about it. So we're going to begin our cooking process by washing our hands, of course. We always do that. And then the first step in our recipe tells us that we're going to line our crock pot. One of the worst things about using a slow cooker is the fact that it is actually pretty difficult to clean because things stick to it because of the nature of the cooking process. You almost always have to soak it. I highly recommend a liner. They are available at the grocery store, and they make the cleaning process so much easier at the end. So I do recommend a liner. So have the individual line the slow cooker or crock pot, whatever the brand is. And now we're going to put our meat in. The recipe recommends a chuck roast, any kind of large beef-based meat, anything that you can get other than ground, obviously. You can use very cheap meats and it comes out delicious, and which is the advantage of the slow cooker. And so you can see that the pictorial recipe tells us we're going to put our meat into the slow cooker. Super simple. Now we're going to take a packet of ranch dressing, not liquid, the packets. They're the envelopes of dry ingredients for ranch dressing. And we'll sprinkle that across the meat. And you can see the symbols tell them exactly what to do. And be aware that the first time they do anything, you're going to need to guide them, maybe model it for them. It's the second, third, fourth time they make the dish that they'll be able to independently follow the steps. So we line our crock pot, we put our meat into the slow cooker, and then we sprinkle on our ranch dressing. And now we're ready to go to the second page. So now we've turned the page and we're going to go ahead and add a packet of au jus And that's not liquid au jus. Au jus is a sauce for dipping a lot of roast beef sandwiches and things. You can buy these packets of the au jus mixture packets at the grocery store. And we'll sprinkle that onto our meat as well. You can see the picture symbols tell you exactly what to do. We're going to add a stick of butter on top of that, the whole stick right on top. You don't have to do anything fancy. It will melt during the cooking process and spread throughout the dish perfectly. We're going to add some pepperoncinis. Those are just peppers you can buy in a jar from the grocery store. We'll add 5 of those to the top of the roast. And then we're going to add just some baby carrots that you can buy already peeled and cut and ready, and some potatoes to the mixture. Then it's time to put the lid on and set it. Now, the amount of time to cook in a slow cooker is really based on what's convenient. If you set a 4-hour, it'll cook at a higher heat, so it'll be done in 4 hours. If you set a 6-hour, it's done at a lower heat. So the key is how much time, the time frame for when you want to eat, and also the type of meat. If you have a really cheap cut, you want to cook it slow and low. The longer, the better. If you have a higher quality of meat, you want to cook it faster. So let's talk more about the settings button on your slow cooker. Okay, your meat is ready to go, and it tells you, I believe, that you can set it for 6 or 8 hours, whatever is convenient, which is great. You use the time what time you want to eat to base it on how long to cook. But notice I've got 2 instrument panels here. They're both crock pots. The slow cooker on the left has a lot of functions. That's looks like your car dashboard, doesn't it? Those are a lot of functions. And, while that gives your machine a lot of flexibility, it's going to make it almost impossible for individuals with challenges to use easily. Look at the slow cooker on the right. That has 1 dial. You set it for 4, 6, 8, or 10 hours. That obviously is going to be a lot more accessible for individuals with challenges to conquer. And of course, the goal is always not the dish, but them preparing the dish. And so if we want them to do everything independently, ultimately, the simpler model is always better. And of course, the simpler model is also cheaper, so it has that advantage as well. So if you have not yet purchased a slow cooker, I highly recommend a very simple model with 1 dial or 1 button, where all you have to do is set the amount of time, because most of the individuals we support will have the ability to distinguish between 4, 6, 8, or 10. Okay. When the time is up, the only challenge you'll have is taking the lid off, because there will be a little burst of steam. It's typically not anything too much, but it is the one time where there's the possibility of some slight injury, just a steam burn. So just teach them some caution in opening the slow cooker at the end. And also, one of the things that often happens is people want to take the lid off during the cooking process. You don't want to do that. It really does disrupt the cooking cycle. So you might have to teach them, the idea that the lid has to stay on. Most of the models have a see-through cover, so you can see the meat cooking, and point that out to them. See, you can see it. It's cooking. It's bubbling. We don't need to take the lid off. Okay? That's me. I'm here to support you, and if you have any questions, suggestions, or concerns about this video, please feel to reach out to me. My contact information is listed there. If you have any ideas for future videos, please let me know. Also, if you're in need of a slow cooker, let me know, and I will help you pick out an appropriate one for the house where you work. That brings us to the end of this training session. I hope you enjoyed it. I truly enjoyed making it, and I look forward to the next time we are together.